Hello, everyone. If you've ever experienced a strong initial connection with someone only to find the relationship settling into a friendship over time, you're certainly not alone. There is a physiological and psychological basis for why certain interactions lead to romantic attraction, while others do not, even when all the conventional markers of compatibility seem to be present. The reality is that human attraction and arousal are not simple on-off mechanisms. They involve a nuanced interplay of neurochemistry, psychology, and nonverbal communication that often goes unnoticed. And what's crucial to understand is this: it's often less about the content of your conversation or your social status, and more about the subconscious physiological responses your presence evokes. That is precisely what we'll be exploring today. And I believe these insights can be genuinely transformative. I'm Dr. Rena Mullick, a urologist and pelvic surgeon, and welcome to Medical Facts, where we examine evidence-based medicine to help you live a healthier, more fulfilling life. This is a space free from gimmicks, dedicated to understanding the real science behind human connection, performance, and wellness. Through my clinical practice and review of the research, I've spent considerable time studying the neuroscience of desire and counseling individuals on relational dynamics. What the evidence suggests may be surprising. Attraction is far less random than we assume. When you comprehend the underlying hormonal and psychological frameworks, you can foster genuine chemistry in an ethical and natural manner. So, what will we cover in this discussion? We will walk through the science of why interpersonal connections form, beginning with the concept of graduated physical contact, how appropriate touch influences bonding hormones. Then we'll discuss the psychology of eye contact, including how sustained gaze can foster connection and a technique to employ it comfortably. We'll explore how voice modulation and interpersonal distance affect the nervous system. We'll also talk about the importance of grounded presence, the kind of energy that promotes safety and openness. Finally, I'll outline a practical 48-hour protocol focusing on natural hormonal optimization to help you present your most confident self. I'll also provide a simple, actionable checklist you can refer to later. If you find this overview valuable, consider subscribing to Medical Facts for more insights into the science of health and relationships. Here's what current research indicates. Oxytocin, often termed the bonding hormone, increases in response to positive touch, meaningful eye contact, and emotional rapport, similar to its release during intimate bonding experiences. Testosterone, which influences desire in all individuals, can be elevated in response to perceptions of confidence and stability in a partner. However, there is a key inhibitor: cortisol, the stress hormone. Anxiety, perceived pressure, or neediness can trigger a stress response in others, effectively dampening the potential for attraction. This is why a calm, assured demeanor isn't merely a social asset, it has a biochemical basis for facilitating connection. Before we delve into the first concept, I'm interested in hearing from you. If you're comfortable, share your first name and general age in the comments, or simply let me know what city you're joining us from. I do read your comments, and they help guide the content we create to better serve your needs. Now, let's begin with the role of touch, as this is a fundamental area where relational dynamics are often subconsciously established. It's important to understand that touch perception can vary. For many, responsive arousal through touch is often a gradual process, not an instantaneous one. Think of it as a ladder. Each respectful step of physical contact can promote the release of oxytocin, building trust and affinity simultaneously. However, moving too quickly without attention to responsiveness can activate a stress response, increasing cortisol and creating discomfort. The key is respectful progression, attentively observing nonverbal feedback and establishing comfort at each stage before progressing. This progression begins with social touch, the kind that occurs in everyday, friendly interaction, like a handshake or a brief, light touch on the shoulder during a shared laugh. This stage is non-threatening and socially congruent, and research suggests even brief, appropriate touch can increase perceptions of warmth and likability. A common misstep is either avoiding all touch, which keeps an interaction purely verbal and platonic, or advancing too rapidly without this foundation. The goal is to normalize positive, incidental physical contact early so your presence is associated with safe, pleasant sensory experience. The next stage involves slightly more deliberate, though still casual contact, letting a guiding hand on the back linger for a moment or lightly brushing an arm when reaching for something. This is where you can gauge receptivity. If she leans in, maintains the contact, or reciprocates, it's a positive sign. If she subtly withdraws or creates distance, that's a clear signal to remain at the previous level of interaction and focus on building more comfort. This approach is about confident, respectful attunement, not about seeking verbal permission, but absolutely honoring nonverbal communication. A further stage involves more sustained, intentional touch while maintaining eye contact, such as a longer handhold or a hug where you aren't the first to pull away. At this point, if there is mutual attraction, oxytocin release is more significant, and physiological signs like pupil dilation or changed breathing may occur. The introduction of light, playful tension through micro-escalations like a gentle squeeze can maintain engagement. The rhythm is essential, a subtle advance, then a pause, allowing the other person to lean in for more. A critical point often missed is that every individual has their own pace. The skill lies in calibration, observing body language, breath, and tension levels. When you respect that pace while leading with quiet confidence, you build not just attraction, but vital trust. That sense of safety is what allows guards to drop and genuine desire to surface. This framework of graduated touch, when mastered, is a powerful tool for transforming the nature of a connection. Now, let's discuss eye contact. If touch is a language of the body, eye contact is a language of emotional and romantic interest. Many are unaware of the profound power of prolonged, relaxed eye contact. Studies have shown that even brief periods of sustained gaze between strangers can generate reports of increased attraction. Eye contact stimulates the release of phenylethylamine, a neurochemical associated with focused attention and infatuation, and activates the limbic system, the brain's emotional center. However, there is a vast difference between a calm, present gaze and an intense, pressured stare. The foundation is your own state of relaxation. If you are anxious or overthinking, that tension manifests in your eyes and can be perceived as threatening. What you want to cultivate is a calm, grounded presence. You are not staring at her, but seeing her and are comfortable with the quiet tension that mutual gaze can create. I encourage you to practice this in low-stakes daily interactions to become accustomed to that slight, natural discomfort. A helpful technique is the triangle gaze. Instead of a fixed stare, gently move your gaze in a subtle pattern from her left eye to her right eye, down to her lips and back. This cycle takes just a few seconds and can be repeated naturally. Briefly glancing at the lips is a primal, subconscious signal of romantic interest. If there is attraction, you may notice her own gaze drop to your lips, or a subtle change in her breathing. A common error is breaking eye contact too quickly out of nervousness, which can signal uncertainty. Instead, aim to hold the gaze just a moment longer, then break it deliberately with a slight smile, looking down or to the side, which conveys confidence, rather than upward, which can signal submission. Also, observe her pupils. Pupil dilation is an involuntary response of the autonomic nervous system to interest and arousal, providing real-time feedback. The goal of this eye contact protocol is not to overpower, but to create a safe space for mutual comfortable tension. Mastering this, in combination with the principles of touch, fundamentally alters the subconscious dynamic of an interaction. Let's move to an element often overlooked: your voice. Research in evolutionary psychology suggests that lower vocal frequencies are subconsciously associated with traits like stability and genetic fitness. Analyses of social interactions show that individuals who speak in deeper, slower tones are often perceived as more confident and attractive, regardless of conversation content. Your voice directly reflects your nervous system state. Anxiety raises pitch and speed, while calm assurance lowers and slows it. This is subconsciously perceived. Here's a practical technique. In situations where you wish to create a connection, consciously lower your vocal pitch by about half an octave and slow your speaking pace by roughly 20%. Speak from your chest, not your throat, and take deeper breaths before speaking. This accomplishes two things. It calms your own nervous system, reducing cortisol, and it can trigger a calming parasympathetic response in the listener. She may feel safer, more relaxed, and more open. When combined with strategic pauses, allowing silence to sit, you create anticipation, and the brain often fills that space with positive possibility. This is where attraction can grow. Now, consider proximity. Everyone has invisible spatial boundaries: public, social, personal, and intimate space. Many people remain in social or personal space, which reinforces a friendly dynamic. To gently shift the tone, you can gradually and respectfully enter the intimate space, which is roughly within 18 inches. At this distance, the nervous system makes a subconscious assessment, threat, or attraction. If you've built comfort through touch and eye contact, the likely response is attraction, accompanied by physiological changes like increased heart rate and hormone release. The method is to create natural reasons to be closer, leaning in to hear in a loud room, sitting beside rather than across, angling your body toward hers. An advanced principle is the push-pull dynamic. After being close, occasionally lean back slightly. If she leans in to close the gap, it's a strong nonverbal indicator of comfort and interest. Always respect her spatial adjustments. Combine this proximity with a modulated voice and occasionally lowering your volume to a near whisper when sharing something. This creates a sense of shared intimacy and heightened sensory awareness, making the interaction feel uniquely exciting rather than safely predictable. Now, let's discuss the intangible quality of presence. This is the energy you project, and people are remarkably sensitive to it. Attraction is frequently less about perfection and more about being fully present, not rehearsing lines or seeking approval, but being engaged, calm, and grounded. This stable, calm energy is inherently appealing because it doesn't bring chaos, it offers safety. The antithesis of presence is neediness, which is focusing on a specific outcome and altering your behavior to gain approval. This often feels incongruent and can diminish attraction. A grounded presence involves being decisively engaged, leading the flow of interaction while remaining emotionally attuned. Before any meaningful social interaction, take a few minutes to ground yourself through deep breathing or visualization. Center yourself in your body, slow your heart rate, and remind yourself that your goal is to enjoy the connection, not to extract a particular result. This outcome-independent mindset is paradoxically more attractive. This also relates to creating comfortable tension, playfully teasing, gently challenging, and being comfortable with silence. This isn't about being unkind, but about creating a dynamic where both parties are engaged and there is a sense of mutual discovery. It shifts the dynamic from interview to interaction. When you are comfortable holding a calm frame, you create space for the other person to lean in and contribute, transforming a friendly exchange into something more compelling. However, all of these interpersonal skills are supported by your own biology. If you are fatigued, stressed, or hormonally imbalanced, it will be challenging to project a confident, magnetic presence. The good news is you can positively influence your hormonal state through natural means within a short time frame. Think of this as preparing your internal environment so your external techniques are effective. First, prioritize sleep. Inadequate sleep drastically reduces testosterone and elevates cortisol. Aim for 7 to 8 hours in a dark, cool environment, as deep sleep cycles are when your body produces vital hormones. The night before an important engagement, make sleep a non-negotiable priority. You will wake with a biological edge. Next, consider nutrition in the 48 hours prior. Focus on foods that support hormone production and reduce stress. Eggs, lean red meat, and fatty fish provide cholesterol and healthy fats, the building blocks for testosterone. Incorporate zinc-rich foods like oysters and pumpkin seeds, and magnesium sources like dark chocolate and almonds, which help lower cortisol. Minimize sugar and processed carbohydrates, as they spike insulin and cortisol. Keep meals balanced with protein, healthy fats, and complex carbohydrates. Certain natural compounds may also be supportive. Ingredients like maca root, Tribulus terrestris, Korean red ginseng, and ashwagandha have been studied for their roles in supporting vitality, stress response, and hormonal balance. As always, consult with your physician before starting any new supplement regimen. Finally, incorporate movement and breath work. A session of heavy compound lifting like squats or deadlifts within that 48-hour window can elevate testosterone. Follow this with brief cold exposure like a 2 to 3 minute cold shower to boost norepinephrine and focus. Just before your interaction, practice 5 minutes of deep diaphragmatic breathing to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, lower your heart rate, and instill a calm, confident state. When you integrate these steps, you are not just mentally prepared, but biologically optimized to be your most vibrant self. This 48-hour reset protocol can make a significant difference in how you present and connect. If you've been following along, you now understand that attraction operates on a continuum of physiological and psychological principles. It involves oxytocin from respectful touch, neurochemicals from eye contact, nervous system calibration through voice and proximity, and the grounded energy of presence, all supported by your own health. You have a framework for graduated touch, a protocol for meaningful eye contact, strategies for vocal tone and space, an understanding of present energy, and a reset protocol for your biology. Now, the most important step is to apply this knowledge with respect and authenticity. If you found this discussion helpful, please consider subscribing to Medical Facts and sharing this video with someone who might benefit. Your engagement helps us create more content that serves you. I read your comments and value your feedback immensely. Remember, understanding the science of connection is about fostering genuine human relationships, not manipulation. When you comprehend how desire and connection truly function, you move from uncertainty to compassionate leadership. You become someone with whom others can feel truly safe, seen, and connected. Thank you for watching.